Greetings Wanderer, this is Atlas here and welcome to the Void. Today I'm going to be doing the ultimate Dark Souls 1, or I should say in my case Dark Souls Remastered boss tier list. The way I'm going to do this tier list is that I am basically going to, of course, rank each major boss in the game according to my experience in the game, okay? This is not going to be like a Dark Souls boss consensus kind of tier list, okay? This is going to be just my own experience, because I know that some of the bosses that I beat in the game were incredibly difficult for other people, but I somehow managed to, you know, defeat them with less deaths, let's say, because that's how you say it in this particular game, okay? So, enough with that. Let's start with, I'm gonna do them by zones, alright? So, I'm gonna start, of course, with the Asylum Demon, alright? Let's check here the Asylum Demon, which is, I think this is the Asylum Demon, isn't it? Yes, this is the Asylum Demon. Okay, this is the first boss of the game. I'm gonna put it in D tier, alright? The reason I'm putting him in D tier and almost make a C tier is that I mean, he is fairly easy to defeat in the sense that, you know, he's very slow. You can flank him very easily, and you know, all his attacks, all his hammer attacks, you can pretty much you know, dodge them, telegraph them from a mile away. Like, the timings are you know, very straightforward. They are not that hard to figure out. And also the bot slam, it's like, you know, it's super easy to evade, and so on and so forth. The only reason why I think this could be potentially a C tier is that when you first encounter this boss, you basically have a broken sword. Of course, if you do it like the casual way, let's say, or you know, the beginner kind of way, which is the way I did it. I remember that I thought I had to kill him with the broken sword, and that was my first kill in the game. He killed me because I couldn't. I just thought, like, this can't be it. How can you defeat a boss starting the game with a broken sword? It's like it's going to take forever. So I've seen also other players struggle with this more times than I did, because I just think I just figure out that I just have to skip him for the meantime, you know, to get my my scimitar and my shield, because I played a wanderer build, a dexterity wanderer build. So in case you want to check that out, by the way, I'm gonna leave the playlist of the whole playthrough here, but also I'm gonna leave it in the description of this video, right? So yeah, the Asylum Demon is going to be a D tier for me. So let's move forward with the Taurus Demon, okay? Okay, the Taurus Demon. I'm going to place the Taurus Demon in... I'm going to place him in C tier, okay? Now, there is something... I mean, I shouldn't... In context, if you see my my footage on when I was fighting against the Taurus Demon, you will see that it was sort of difficult for me to defeat him. The thing is that when you get more experience in the game and then you fight, you know, later bosses, he kind of gets like a creep, you know, a power creep in some sense. There's bosses that are way more difficult, way more powerful than him. So I think that the caveat here is that since you're starting the game, you know, to me, Dark Souls has a very steep learning curve, you know, and I had help, you know, I saw many comments trying to help what I was doing. Some of them I took, so the advice, some others not so much, but for the most part I just try to figure things out by myself, you know. And fighting the Taurus Demon was frustrating and difficult for me because like I said before, you jump new into this game, the learning curve is very steep. The boss is, you know, very punishing, does a lot of damage from the beginning. I mean, all the bosses, of course, do a lot of damage, but you're fighting him also in a very constrained space, you know. It's like in the top of a wall, of one of the walls of Lord Ran. So that doesn't give you a lot of maneuvering potential. It becomes easier, of course, when you hawk him, like you fight him in close quarters, or you just do the jumping attack, but that wasn't the case for me. So it was a fairly difficult boss for me at the beginning, but as the game went on, he got power creeped really, really hard, okay? So yeah, neither of his hammer attacks, he has a hammer, doesn't he? I think, yeah, he does have that. They are, once you get more experience, you can evade them easily. And then you can use, you know, the plunging attack. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it on C tier for the Taurus Demon, alright? So, next one is going to be the Capra Demon. Alright, the Capra Demon. Where is the Capra Demon? Okay, here is... I'm going to place the Capra Demon in C tier as well. Alright? He is... I mean, for... I think that if I had to rank it within the C tier, I would put it slightly above the Taurus Demon for one reason, and is that it has like the same environment handicap, let's say, on your end, in terms that it's very close quarters, you know, and the difference between the Capra Demon and the Taurus Demon is that the Capra Demon is way more aggressive, you know. Taurus Demon is slower and you know, you can flank him fairly easy. Although it's in a closed space, it's not as close. It's not as close as an environment as where the Capra Demon is. But what really is a pain in the ass for the Capra Demon fight is the two dogs, you know, the two fiends that are there. Once you enter the fight, they just charge you, and then the Capra Demon charges you. So of course, if you don't have a lot of poise or whatever, I don't even know if you're if by doing like a knight or warrior build at the beginning of the game, you can actually tank the attack so it doesn't, you know, push you to the ground. But in my experience, of course, since this is ultimately the case of the tier list, is it was very annoying. Like just entering the fight, the bloody dogs coming after you, and then the Capra Demon just charging you. It was frustrating a lot. However, the combat space, you know, the arena, let's say, it's very easy to figure out, because once you enter, if one of those times that you die, you start to inspect the room, you can see that there's some stairs, you know, that go towards like a ledge or something like that. So once you see that, then you can start to kind of figure out the things, right? Like, okay, maybe I can use this as a fatal funnel of some sorts, and so on and so forth. So, you know, the learning curve towards defeating him, I would say it's not that hard, even in the early game as a beginner. You just have to, you know, sort of evade the dogs and take the stairs up the ledge, and have a fatal funnel there so you can take care of the dogs, and then the Capra Demon is, for the most part, fairly easy. You can do the plunging attack, or, you know, just you can evade him fairly easy, you know, once the fiends are dealt with. So yeah, that's going to be a C tier for the Capra Demon. Moving forward, we have the Bale Gargoyles. Okay. Okay, the Bale Gargoyles for me, where are the Bale Gargoyles? The wretched Bale Gargoyles. Okay, here is the Bale Gargoyles. I'm going to place the Bale Gargoyles as... I'm going to place them in B tier, okay? Because I think they got power creeped as the game moved forward. To me, in the early game, this is the hardest boss of all. Like, if you see my playthrough, I went through hell to defeat the bloody Bale Gargoyles. You know, they're tough. Even when I was fighting them with their own weapon that you get from cutting their tail, you know, they are fairly tanky in the early game. And I never expected for another gargoyle to come into the fight when the other one was when the first one was approaching, you know, near death scenario. So you know, having two enemies attacking you at the same time, the two of them has like the AoE attack with the flaming attack and so on and so forth. You can't get close to them. You kind of have to sort of spread them out, try to spread them out, and you know, finish the one that is on lower health, apologies, and then deal with another one. But for me, that was insanely difficult at the beginning. Okay, so I'm gonna put it at the Bale Gargoyles for that reason on B tier. It was in the early game. I think it's the hardest boss in the game, in the early game, I would say. So now, moving forward, we have the Gaping Dragon in the depths. All right. Okay, I think where is it? Okay, here is the Gaping Dragon. I would say that the Gaping Dragon is one of my favorite bosses in character design. Certainly, I would place this boss in tier S if we were talking about character design, but of course this is not the case. I think I'm going to place the Gaping Dragon in C tier also. Not really a difficult boss, to be honest. You have a massive arena to fight him. You know, his charge is not really that fast. You can, you know, outrun him enough to either evade the attack or just, you know, get somewhere safe. And also, you know, like his mowing attack when he does like this charge and plunges towards the ground with his maw. Fairly easy to decipher. The only thing that got me by surprise was when you are near his hands, you know, his arms. He grabs you and you know, eats you basically, or tries to at least. And that was like the only thing that I could say that kind of gets you by surprise. He's way more intimidating than what he actually is able to do. Or it. No, it's a Gaping Dragon, so yeah. So yeah, I will place it in C tier. Not really that difficult of a boss. I would say though that this is one of the bosses that I had the most fun with. I was discussing this with my mod, with one of my mods in Discord and a friend in regards to which they were asking me which boss you had the most fun, and I was like, I didn't have fun with any of them. It was complete torture and pain. But I would say that the Gaping Dragon, I mean, in retrospective, I would say that the Gaping Dragon probably was like the less, you know, raging one, and was the one that I could actually laugh about myself dying and so on and so forth, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna put the Gaping Dragon on C tier. Okay, so now let's talk about Chaos Witch Quilag, okay? Chaos Witch Quilag is going to be C tier also, okay? The reason for this is because, again, it's the same as fairly the same scenario as the Gaping Dragon, in the sense that they both share a very large environment, a very large arena to fight them. So of course, you know, the Chaos Witch Quilak have the Lava Spew, which is kind of an AoE attack to zone you either in or out of her range. Most of the time, I would say, if you don't stick to the walls, you're very safe in that regard. You know, she's not going to be able to, you know, to kind of wall you in of some sorts, you know. Unless you have like insane fire resistance or something, but this is fairly, you know, early game still, I would say, in the game. I would say you get to the mid game towards when you get to Sense Fortress, more or less. But yeah, coming back to Quilag, I would say that the most difficult thing about her is trying to not be so anxious, and because she's very, very easy to evade the attacks. You can evade the attacks fairly easy. The only thing you have to do is kind of drive her away from this lava spew, and you know, very easy to flank her. The thing is trying to control yourself and not getting into the, you know, into the rush of the moment, because she does this blasting attack, you know, this bombing attack. What is it? The fire burst. Yeah. And, you know, the fire burst does a lot of damage, like a lot of damage. So with that, only that, if she's able to either trick you into dodging towards the lava spew, or she manages to land a couple of auto attacks, you're dead. But other than that, I would say that she is fairly easy. I mean, early boss, she's nowhere near the difficulty of the Bale Gargoyles. It's like, there's no comparison. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give Quilag the C tier, okay, in terms of difficulty. So moving on, we have the Moonlight Butterfly, okay. All right, let me see. I think I'm gonna place the Moonlight Butterfly in D tier. I mean, it's very easy, to be honest. She's not very aggressive. I mean, her magic attacks do a lot of damage, that's for sure. But they are, I mean, she's very easy to figure out. You know that you can. The magic attacks are easy to evade, and also probably the hardest thing to figure out is how to attack her. Right? If you don't have any like ranged weapons, you say, well, how can I attack her if I'm, you know, melee based? But after a while, she comes close to you know, to the bridge basically, and then you can attack her there. So it's not that hard to really. It is kind of an underwhelming boss, but at the same time, you know, when you get to see its domain, to see the Scaleless, you see a lot of them around, and you can also see like Taurus Demons in the Demon Ruins. So they are, as you progress, they become like these mini bosses, a sort of a thing, right? So I would say the Moonlight Butterfly, for the most part, very easy to defeat. You know, the only thing that that got me by surprise, I would say, was the charging bombing attack that she does when she, you know, lands in the bridge. But other than that, you know, super easy. Okay, so moving forward, we have the Great Grey Wolf Sith, which is right here. I'm going to place Sith in C tier also, alright? Again, this is the same. In essence, it's very similar to in terms of, I would say, the Gaping Dragon. Although, of course, I'm not saying that they share like similar fighting styles or whatsoever, because the Gaping Dragon is extremely slow. Sif is super agile and can go on and about on the arena very easily. But again, you benefit from the how big the arena is. So you're able to evade his attacks if you are in an open ground. Fairly easy. I got killed a couple of times to be able to see how many attack types he had. But I think it was very easy for me to sort of figure out that if you go under his legs, under his tummy, you can defeat him very, very easily, to be honest. I'm not gonna put it in D tier because even though I would say in C tier he is fairly easy too. The thing is that what gets you about him is that he's very agile. So sometimes he's jumping in and out, of the attacking range, and that can, kind of messes you up a little bit because you don't know when to approach him, when to retreat or whatnot. And sometimes you try to get under him and he just bounces on and off, and then he attacks you and whatnot. So probably this boss is the most agile one within the ones that are in the C tier, and for that reason I would say it gives him a little bit of an edge over the other ones on C tier. But yeah, there's a lot of bosses that I changed my mind in terms of difficulty because of the same thing that I was talking to you about, the power creep. Then you face bosses that are way more difficult. That's for sure. So that's gonna be for Sif. Very sad battle, by the way. I did not enjoy at all defeating him at the end. But that's a story for another time. Let's move forward with the Iron Golem, right? Now, the Iron Golem, okay, where is he? The Iron Golem. Okay, here it is, Iron Golem. I'm going to place the Iron Golem in... I don't think this was as difficult as... Okay, I don't think this is B tier. I think it's almost B tier for a reason, but I'm also going to place him in C tier, alright? The reason for this, or maybe I can... Okay, no. Okay, this... No. I'm gonna leave it in C tier. The reason, because he is almost B tier. Apologies. Yes, almost B tier, but I'm gonna leave it in C tier. It's because the whole gravity thing. Like in my playthrough, I fell multiple times, trying to evade an attack or something, and I fell off of Ascend's Fortress to oblivion. That happened to me multiple times. So again, we're talking about handicaps for you in terms of maneuvering yourself within the arena, because it's fairly constrained, not as much, of course, as the Taurus Demon or the Capra Demon, let's say. But it's fairly constrained in terms, of course, of... I mean, the Gaping Dragon fighting arena is like insanely huge. So in comparison, you would say that, yes, it's very restrictive, where you can go. For the most part, I fought him, in the square part of the arena. I didn't fight him more towards the bridge, where the obstructed gateway or whatever it is. But the Iron Golem is very easy to telegraph. I mean, He's super huge, he's super slow. You can go in between his legs very easy. Of course, like I said, like I always say, it's gonna be a little tough to beat him when you're starting the game and you don't know what happens, how his attacks are and whatnot. But to be honest with you, the most difficult thing about the whole Iron Golem thing is just getting through Sense Fortress. Especially because in my case, I didn't know where the hell the bonfire was at the top of the fortress. So I had to look it up because I didn't have any Estus left. Any Estus left. And I was desperate to find it because I went through the whole structure, multiple times. I didn't want to go back all the way up again and not find the bloody bonfire. So to me, the Iron Golem in a way feels a little bit underwhelming after you go through all that trouble. It seems like it's not so difficult after you went through the whole Sense Fortress hell of traps and whatnot. So I'm gonna put it in C tier, almost B tier, only for the reason that if you fight him in the square like I did, it can be very treacherous in the sense that when you're going to, evade one of his attacks, you can just fall, which is very infuriating. But yeah, nothing close. I mean, like I said before, the hardest early boss in the game to me is the Bell Gargoyles, okay? So, moving forward, we have Dragon Slayer, Ornstein, and Executioner Smoke. Okay, this is going to be like the hot take on this tier list, because I do know that, as a consensus for the people that has played this game, this is one of the most difficult bosses as a consensus. However, for some reason or another, I was able to defeat this boss or bosses, or boss encounter, let's say, in 2 tries or 3, either 2 or 3 tries, something like that. And I've read and heard terrible stories, especially in my Discord. By the way, if you want to join my Discord, I'm gonna leave it in this, the link in the description of this video. We're always having talks about Dark Souls and whatnot. And we were talking about this, like some people have these horrible, terrible stories about fighting this boss 10 plus times, 15 times. I think some lad told me that he had to try multiple times in multiple days. Like he couldn't defeat him in one sitting. Like he had to go multiple days to be able to defeat this Ornstein and Smoke. So that's crazy, However, since for me it wasn't so much difficult, I am going to put Ornstein and Smoke in B tier, okay? If in my experience I had way more difficulty defeating the Bell Gargoyles, even though if you think about it, the Bell Gargoyles have like quote unquote a similar mechanic, which is that towards the end of defeating one of the gargoyles, then another one comes, which is the same dynamic that we see in Ornstein and Smoke. It's 2 lads. However, in Ornstein and Smoke, it's harder because they both attack you at the same time from the beginning of the fight. At least with the gargoyles, you can deal a large amount of damage to the first one, and then the other one comes as to support the other one. But in Ornstein and Smoke, is like it's right from the get-go. Also, you have 2 bosses that have like opposite traits, but they complement each other. Like Smoke is slow, and but hits like insane attacks, you know? He's like he's the hammer and you're the anvil, no pun intended. And Ornstein is, you know, very agile, you know, can jump back and forth. I don't think he does as much as damage as Smoke. Might be wrong on that. Maybe they do the same amount of damage, but it feels like they complement each other so well, you know? The thing that one lacks, the other complements. But for some reason or another, I was able to defeat Ornstein and Smoke like in 2 or 3 tries. It wasn't that difficult for me. So this probably is in A or S tier for all the people, but for me, in my playthrough experience, it's going to be a B tier. And I'm going to place it here because it wasn't as difficult for me as the Gargoyles, to be honest. Okay. So moving forward, I'm going to do Dark Zone Dwindling, which is also the boss and the other boss that there is in Anor Londo. I'm not going to count a Guinevere. She's just an illusion. But okay, Dark Zone Dwindling, here it is. This is going to be D tier, to be fair. I mean, super easy to figure out, to be honest. And also I fought him almost near the end of the game. I fought him before I went to fight Gwyn. So there you have it. I was already pretty stacked up in stats and whatnot. I mean, the fight is it's kind of a joke, to be honest. He's just trying to kite you in this endless room. And you know, his attacks can do a lot of damage, but they are fairly easy to evade and whatnot. The most difficult part of the whole thing, to be honest, is just getting to him and just land a couple of attacks and then chase after him and whatnot and do the same thing over and over again until you get him. So yeah, the only important thing is not to. I mean, you can't tank a couple of magic attacks, but if it gets you with the bow and arrow attack, that does an insane amount of damage. But other than that, I would say yeah, it was very easy to be honest. So it's going to be a D tier for me, all right? So moving forward, okay, we have Crossbreed Priscilla, all right? Now, Crossbreed Priscilla, where is she? Priscilla is not on here. Okay, well, I'm going to cheat in this part. How about I don't know who this is? I don't think this is a boss, to be honest. This is just one of those mages that, you know, give buffs to enemies and whatnot. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and let's assume that this is Priscilla, okay? Even though this is not the portrait, let's assume this is Priscilla. I'm going to place Priscilla in C tier also. The thing about Priscilla is that the only advantage that she has is becoming invisible. But it becomes fairly obvious where she is once you can figure out that she's just walking on this on the snow, and you can see the steps in the snow, so you can figure out where she is fairly easy. Not a particularly difficult fight. I think I'd even beat her in my first try or something like that. Maybe I could place her even in D tier, to be honest. Because I don't think she was as difficult as any of these bosses, to be honest. So I'm gonna place Priscilla in D tier to be honest. Yeah, I don't think she is as difficult to be a C tier. It's going to be a D tier. I defeated her very easily. Like I said before, the only advantage that she has is becoming invisible, but she's really easy to figure out in terms of where she is when you only have to see the steps and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's going to be Priscilla, although this is not the picture, but whatever. Let's move on. All right. Alright, let's talk about Seath, the Scaleless. Okay, Seath, where are you, Seath? Okay, Seath is not here either. What the hell is this list? I see someone that is not Sith. Okay, well, if this is Ornstein, since I already ranked Ornstein as Smoke in here, okay, I'm going to use this picture as a Sith replacement or something like that, okay? So, a Sith, I would say, is also a C tier, alright? And I'm going to place a Sith even like here. It's very low on the C on the C tier because I mean I think I killed Sith in one try, something like that. Once you figure out that you just have to kill the crystal first, you know, the shiny crystal, it's, you know, fairly easy to defeat. I don't know if a lot of players have trouble with this, finding this weak spot, let's say. But I think it's fairly obvious that the game even shows you that that's like the weak spot, you know, of the boss. Because of course, when you go in and you start attacking, and you're not done, you're basically pampering him. But then you remember, okay, well, like maybe I have to do something with the crystal and then, you know, fight him. And that's basically what it is. And also the arena it's fairly close quarters, but the you know, the attacks are, the AoE attacks are give you enough time to evade, to go towards either the entrance of Seath's lair, you know, to evade the crystal attacks and whatnot, you know, the punctures from the roof, from the from the floor. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put it in C tier, to be honest. I could put it even in D tier because I defeated him in one try, but I think that his mechanics are complex enough that they will be like above all these lads, above Priscilla and the other lads. Okay. So moving on, Pinwheel. Okay, Pinwheel is here finally. Okay, I'm gonna put it right straight up in D tier. This is a joke, okay? I find incredibly surprising that some people actually have a struggle with this boss, but I don't know. I mean, I was watching this gameplay from this lad that was using mage build or something like that, and he got killed like a couple of times because with his build he could when Pinwheel has these clones, it's kind of hard to figure out who is which one he is. But when I fought him, for some reason I was able to defeat him, like, you know, in one try. You know, the place where the fight takes place is fairly, you know, close quarters. It's a tight space to a certain degree. But he only does like one mage attack, like this giant fireball. Given that if it hits, it does a lot of damage, but I mean, he is not that difficult. He is, to be honest, it felt like a joke. Like I went through all the, you know, it has kind of the similar effect when I fought the Iron Golem, in which you go through Sen's Fortress and then you fight the Iron Golem, and my perception was that the whole Sen's Fortress was more difficult than the boss. Same thing happened with me with the Catacombs and Pinwheel. Like I went through all the Catacombs to get to him, and when I fought him, it was like, well, this is it. Like the whole level was way more difficult than the boss itself. So yeah, it's going to be a D tier for me. It's like, mate, Pinwheel, come on. All right, moving forward, let's talk about Gravelord Nido. All right. Okay, I'm going to place Gravelord Nido in B tier. All right. I don't think it was as difficult as the Gargoyles. Okay. but it was more difficult for me than Ornstein and Smoke. So I'm gonna put it in B tier. What's difficult about this boss is that the arena is like a ring. Not in terms of boxing or whatever. It's like it's shaped like a ring because there's like a rock in the center, and it will be like a ring. First of all, this is another one of those bosses, apologies, that have minions. Like the Capra Demon. And that's why the Capra Demon was so annoying, because it had minions. And the same thing goes with Nito. However, Nito has way more minions than the Capra Demon does. And the thing is, I found myself just kiting the bloody skeletons along the ring all the time. There were a couple of times where they, just push me into a wall and they will kill me. Another thing is that Nito has this out of the blue spike attack, that comes from the floor. It's a little tricky to evade. You gotta have the timing right. But if I do remember correctly, like the signal that you get to be able to evade that, it's like a very ominous scream or something like that. It's not very easy to evade the spike. Maybe, of course, to veteran players that might be the case, but for an amateur, like a beginner, it's not going to be the case at all. It wasn't for me, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same in general terms. However, he himself is not that easy. It's not that hard to kill if you don't take into account the minions. The minions is the most problematic part of his whole fight. But the miasma attack does a lot of damage, but once you get killed once or twice, you can pretty much try to get out of the AoE attack and be safe about that. But he himself, he's not like the hardest boss by himself. The problem is the bloody skeletons. They are the ones that are punishing you and trying to either push you into a corner, so either the spike attack or the miasma attack hits, and that's the very annoying part about fighting Nito. But other than that, nowhere near the Gargoyles for me. It wasn't even close. Okay, so we have now the 4 kings. All right, and we have the 4 kings right here. I'm also going to place the 4 kings in B tier, alright? They are going to be slightly above Ornstein and Smoke, but below the Nito, because like I said before, Nito has all boss fights that have minions on it. It's insanely annoying, alright? You could say that the 4 knights have like a minion mechanic in which they can spawn simultaneously. Yeah, that's the word. If you don't kill the first one as fast as possible, then another one spawns, and that can become a problem, right? They will absolutely overwhelm you in numbers. But to be honest, the auto attacks are for the most part easy to evade. You have to go to them, fight them close quarters, be very punishing against them. You have like the time window to do multiple attacks in a period of time in between the attacks, the 4 king attacks and whatnot. So it's very important not to let them spawn in numbers, like defeat the first one as fast as possible, and then the next one. I think in my playthrough I wasn't able to defeat the first one before the other one came spawn in the arena. But he was fairly low, okay? So that works too. To me, the most annoying part of this fight was the magic attack that he has. Like, it's like this homing missile kind of attack, or like this homing boomerang kind of attack. It's kind of hard to have a sense to in terms of a space, you know, because it's a pitch black room. So it's kind of I mean, there's a handicap there in regards to trying to see and evade the attacks in regards to how far I am, how far I will be able to evade this attack if I go forward or backwards or sideways and whatnot. So that's what's like the thing that I had most trouble with in terms of the 4 nights battle. But other than that, not really insanely difficult, to be fair. So let's talk about the bosses that are in Demon Ruins, alright? I'm going to try to go through them fairly fast because I think they share more or less the same things in terms of how the fights go on, okay? So, we got Ceaseless Discharge, which I think is this one. Or is it this one? I think this is this one. Ceaseless Discharge is going to be C tier for me. And Demon Fire Sage and the Centipede Demon are going to be D tier for me, alright? These two maybe are like the most difficult ones from the D tier, alright? The Demon Fire Sage and the Centipede Demon. The thing is that you know, both of these lads are in a fairly close quarter battle, while the Ceaseless Discharge, you have room to fight the Ceaseless Discharge. And of course, if you don't know about the whole thing about him falling falling, basically, I don't know where, but he falls, and using that to defeat him, it's not so much of a big deal. His attacks are very easy to telegraph. You have plenty of time to land attacks on his arm. I think even his arm has like a vulnerable point, which I didn't particularly use, but it's there. But yeah, it wasn't so much like a huge problem for me to fight him. However, I did feel that he feels like a little bit more tanky, and that can lead you to feel a little bit more desperate towards the fight to end. We have Bed of Chaos, alright? Where is it? Bed of Chaos is going to be... I think it's going to be D tier too. The reason for this is because the Bed of Chaos, it's very easy to figure out what you have to do. You have to, go towards the, flank the sideways of the arena to go in, and, kind of cut this bell or something like that, which is there. Then to the other side of it, do the same thing, and then towards the middle, where the core of that abomination is, Not really that difficult. Of course, the whole thing about this battle is the gravity. I mean, you fall into... You don't know where the floor is going to, break, and you could potentially fall to your death. So you're gonna need a couple of tries to figure out where is it going to fall or not, and then where you can make the jump towards the kind of a tree branch that is in the middle, so you can make your way into the tree itself, or into the bed itself, let's say. Yeah, other than that, not really, too cancerous, let's say. All right. So, Let's talk. I'm gonna leave Gwyn towards the end, but let's first talk about the Sanctuary Guardian. Okay, I'm going to talk about the Sanctuary Guardian here. I'm gonna put him in B tier. The Sanctuary Guardian can be very annoying. He's very agile, has multiple magic attacks, lightning magic attacks that hit like crazy. He has a flying attack. And of course he has the like this very mean melee combo, right? That is kind of hard to telegraph. Actually, I'm going to put him above the Four Kings. I think the Sanctuary Guardian was harder for me than the Four Kings. The only thing that is in your favor in this arena is, you know, that you can, there's space to maneuver, you know. You can evade his flying attack very easily, or his charging attack. Can't remember. No, it's a flying attack. You know, his magic attacks, you know, fairly easy to evade too. But the trickiest ones are the melee attacks, you know, the pawning, you know, berserk attacks that the Guardian has. That were the most difficult for me, at least. However, I think I didn't die too much to this one. I might have died like 4 or 5 times, which is, you know, an amount, but it's not like 10 or 15 times or something like that. So, yeah, I'm gonna put the Sanctuary Guardian on B tier, right? This is where it gets interesting, all right? Let's talk about Artorias, the Abyss Walker, all right? I'm going to put Artorias in A tier. This is definitely, the bosses in the DLC are definitely the one up in terms of the difficulty, and they are the ones that do the power creep in the whole thing, in the whole game. Artorias, the Abyss Walker, is... It is a frustrating fight, but at the same time, you know, the whole lore that is behind Artorias and how the lore leads you towards the fight makes it way more meaningful than fighting any other of the bosses in the game. Even Gwyn, I would say so. That's the way I felt. Like, fighting Artorias was more meaningful to me than fighting Gwyn in terms of how the lore kind of engages you and so on and so forth. However, of course, we're talking about the difficulty of each boss fight, and I will say that Artorias was above even the Gargoyles to me. I don't think it took me so much attempts as to kill Artorias as the attempts that I did for the Gargoyles, but the difference is that when I faced Artorias, I was somewhat, to a certain degree, a more experienced player, you know? When I fought the Gargoyles, I was still super green. So that's why it was so punishing, because, you know, I was barely getting into the game, and then you have this onslaught with 2 bloody Gargoyles. But when I fought Artorias, it was I was fairly into the game already. You know, I have had more experience in it. So I was able to kill him in less tries than the Gargoyles, I think. However, Artorias is very agile. It's probably one of the most agile bosses in the game, more than even Sif. And well, it makes sense because the Sif was you know, like Artorias' companion, so they have a similar fighting style in that regard. But you know, Artorias' heavy attacks and even the bitch slap that he gives you when you are able to evade him, but then he sees you behind, he sees that you're behind him or something, and he bitch slaps you. I mean, that mechanic, I despised it a lot when it happened, but I also loved it a lot because it added a lot of character to who he is and as a boss mechanic, but also to the lore of himself, as a character. Probably one of the hardest things about this boss is the 3 rolling attacks that he does with his sword. They are sometimes difficult to telegraph because you don't know sometimes when he's going to do 1 or 2 or 3. So, and though they stun lock you forever, so there's no escaping that, So that's probably one of the most difficult things that I had to struggle with when I was fighting him. And also he has this power up thing that I didn't know you could interrupt. So I was actually fighting him all the time with the buff. So that's why one of the reasons why it was more difficult for me, because I just let him, have a cup of tea and get his buff all the time. Not once did I interrupt him having him powering himself up. So that's why Artorias is going to be A tier for me, right? So moving on, we have Black Dragon Calamite. All right. Okay, Calamite is going to be. I'm going to place Calamite in B tier. All right. It's going to be slightly below the Gargoyles. Calamite could have been a nightmare if I didn't figure out that the whole Gael thing, him shooting him with an arrow and whatnot. Because I first went into the battle and he was basically flying. And I mean, how can you defeat him being a melee fighter, It's too much of an advantage. So thinking that I had to buy like 1,000 arrows to defeat him, then Gael like shot him and I was able to defeat him in sort of my own terms, let's say. So not insanely difficult. Certainly has some insane range, especially with the biting attack that he does. It has an insane reach, that attack. The fire, or I don't think that's the thing that he spews is fire, but whatever he does, those attacks are fairly easy to evade, more or less. But once you get in close quarters combat with him, you can do kind of a similar strategy with him as you do in Sith. You get below the dragon and just start attacking him right there. I think it's the most preferable thing is just to stay in close quarters with him, because he, like I said, he has an insane range. The flaming attacks, although they are fairly easy to maneuver, evade and whatnot, they do a lot of damage. Oh yeah, Calamite is going to be B tier for me. Moving on, Manus. Okay. Manus is going to be, for sure, S tier. This is the boss that I had the most difficult. I mean, it was the most difficult for me. This is the boss that I had the most tries in, above them all. And his attacks are insanely punishing. This boss, it doesn't leave you any chance to breathe whatsoever. All his attacks, like if you try to make some space in between him and you, he attacks you with this long pounding attacks of some sorts and crosses you. When you get in close waters, he either goes berserk mode, which is insane, does an insane amount of damage, or he basically crushes you with his hand and whatnot. And the timings to evade some of these attacks are very difficult, you know. I found them very difficult at least. And the magic attacks, they're hell. Like the ones that the magic attack that is kind of a raining kind of attack, magic attack, is not that bad. You can evade that fairly easy. But the ones, the whole black hole kind of thing, black magic balls that are all around the arena and they come close to you, it's like I was able to evade that like once or twice in the fight. And all the other multiple tries that I did, they always hit me. Always. So to me, Manus is the hardest boss in the game. 100%. Insanely aggressive, does tons and tons of damage, and does a lot of the melee attacks are insane. I mean, you can't catch a break with him. You try to get some space in between you and him, he's gonna get you. And the magic attacks, only when I could evade. That's why he's going to be tier S for me. Now, moving forward to Gwyn, which is the last one that I have here, which is not this is not the picture. I don't know what the hell happened here. But I'm going to take this picture as Gwyn. This looks more like a Black Knight or some sorts. But anyways, I'm going to use this picture as Gwyn. Gwyn is going to be C tier for me. Probably it's going to be C tier for me. To be fair, Gwyn, it's like a way lesser version of Artorias. He doesn't stun lock you too much with his melee attacks, with his auto attacks. He has sort of a similar jumping attack, you know, where that's the one he uses to close the gap in between him and you, like Artorias did, but he feels like a way lesser version of that. And also you can parry Gwyn. I don't think you can parry Artorias, so that gives you like an insane advantage in the fight. I think this is I don't know if there's any other parable boss in the game, but I was lucky enough to find a message before the fight that told me that you could parry him. So I was fairly good towards the end of the game in parrying enemies and whatnot, so it was quite a fairly easy fight. Very underwhelming towards the end. I mean, it's the last boss in the game, but lore-wise and whatnot, I understand why that is, of course. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and share it with your friend. Also, please don't forget to visit my Patreon, my Ko-fi profile, and my Ko-fi store in case you want to support my work further, and my Teespring merch shop. And of course, ex nihilo nihil fit.